These days, 2 out of every 3 devices that I review are Chinese, and it's understandable considering the number of them that are in India right now, and this number is going to keep on increasing. But while some brands like Lenovo, Xiaomi and OnePlus enjoy massive popularity among the masses in India, brands like Vivo and Oppo might not be that popular in the north. Yet, what these 2 brands in particular offer is something that is lost these days, and that is offline retailing. You do not have to rely on e-commerce websites and their flash sales to grab a device. You can simply walk into a store and get it. By the way, my name is Sid, and today I would be reviewing the Vivo V3 Max. This is the same phone that you see Ranveer Singh endorsing these days, and the company is harping a lot about its speed. Now, whether it's true or not, you'll find out in just a few moments. But what I need you to know is that Vivo this year seems to have upped its marketing budget. You see them hire a superstar, you see them giving out a lot of ads, you even see them title sponsor a cricket tournament. But is this phone worth all that hype? Is this phone as fast enough as the company claims it to be? And more importantly, should you be buying this phone or not? Well, let's find the answers to all that and more in the video review. Now, before I start telling you about each aspect of this device, here's a quick look at the specifications it has to offer. It comes with a 5.5-inch screen, a powerful Snapdragon processor, good amount of RAM, and a good enough battery too. So, in terms of sheer specifications, it looks like a great offering. But now let me tell you how it feels in the real life. Starting with the design, the phone looks quite premium thanks to the use of metal on the back here, though the top and bottom are left plasticky for some reason. And turning to the sides, you have even harder metal circumferencing the whole phone. And while all that it's neat, the phone looks very ordinary from the front. In fact, it reminds me of Xiaomi Mi 4. The same plastic panel with a glass on top. By the way, this is 2.5D Gorilla Glass. But coming back to the metal now, the issue of using metal on phones is that it tends to make the phones slippery, and this one too slips a lot. But thankfully, the company offers a transparent silicone case to make the grip better. But having said that, overall the design of this phone is not an issue. It's a premium design, though it does look like Mi 4 from the front and Le Eco Li1 is from the back. The design is neat nonetheless. So that's how the phone looks. Now let me tell you how it makes other things look. On its 5.5-inch display, the answer to that is very good. It is an IPS LCD panel which has good viewing angles and gets a lot brighter. In fact, sunlight visibility was never a concern. The only issue I had was that black bands are visible around the display when you're looking at a white screen or a web page. Apart from that, the screen was great. I had no issues whatsoever with the display of this phone. And now let's move on to the much hyped aspect of this device. Its strength, the performance. The company markets this phone as a performance powerhouse, and that is not entirely false. You get a Snapdragon 652 processor and a capacious 4GB RAM. And if we take into account the benchmarks, it surely trumps them all. And when it comes to gaming, we tested some high-end games on this phone and it played them all with ease, may it be Modern Combat 5 or the Asphalt 8. So processing was never a concern, though the phone tends to get a lot warm when overexerted. And part of the reason for that is the use of metal on the back. And since we are on the back, there is a fingerprint scanner there too, which is fast and snappy generally, but only when it works. There are multiple times in a day when it refuses to accept my fingerprint, or I have to put my finger there on the fingerprint scanner more than once. But having said that, gaming and intensive tasks is not an issue with this phone. It's routine tasks where this phone feels extremely sluggish, and part of the reason for that is the software. It runs on FunTouch OS, which is currently based on Android Lollipop, and just like other Chinese UIs, you don't get an app drawer here, but you can fix that by installing a third-party launcher. Apart from that, it is heavily inspired from iOS, which means instead of having a quick setting toggles on the notification bar, you get them instead by swiping up, just like the iOS. And it hosts a couple of useful features like flashlight, speed booster, or the S capture, which allows you to capture screen in 4 different ways: rectangular shot, long shots, screen recording, and funny screenshots. And you even get a spotlight-like search bar from the top. But Vivo goes a bit too far in aping iOS. In fact, it ruins the multitasking for this purpose. Firstly, instead of windows, you see app icons here which was present on dated versions of the iOS. And secondly, to access the task switcher from the physical keys, you need to press the menu button long, which feels odd. Apart from that, the software is very customizable in general, maybe transitions, themes, widgets, or even hiding the app. Plus, you get a myriad of gestures and shortcuts just like other Chinese UIs. But there's a catch. The software is buggy, very buggy. The UI keeps on restarting, the apps keep on crashing, and the phone keeps on rebooting randomly. And while the new update did help a bit, the phone still feels very erratic. But all this can be changed in the future software updates. But what cannot be changed are the cameras. So, how are they? Well, the primary camera of this smartphone is okay-ish. In terms of quality, it shoots well outdoors, decent indoors, objects disappear completely in the dark, but flash helps. And HDR is non-existent. But in terms of functionality, it is feature-rich. From various fillers and filters, off to modes like slow motion, fast motion, and pro mode, you have it all. But it lacks 4K video recording. And turning to the front camera, it is very disappointing. Shots are noisy and videos are blurred in most of the situations. One thing I would like to discuss with you guys from the top of my head is the calling on the smartphone. While I did not face any issues in terms of voice clarity or call quality, I did occasionally face some call drops on this phone, which is rare in this era of smartphones. Lastly, talking about storage and battery, it's got 32 gigs of storage on board, which can be further upped to 128 gigs using a hybrid nano SIM slot. And talking about battery, you get 3000 mAh battery, but it's not sufficient. It should be, but it is not as efficient as I want it to be. The phone hardly lasted me throughout the day with my moderate usage, and when my usage was heavy and I went overboard with the phone, it hardly lasted me for 6 to 8 hours. The only thing that saves it is quick charging 2.0, which gets your phone up and ready in around 90 minutes. So that's a wrap on the review. I think I've covered all major aspects of this phone, and now it's time for my verdict. So, should you be buying this phone? Well, had it been priced around 15,000 bucks, I might just have recommended it to you. But this phone is priced at 24,000 bucks in India. With a good deal online, you might get it for 22, and this is what gives me problems. There is OnePlus 2 there, OnePlus 3 is underway, you've got Mi 5 that is priced similarly, and there are tons of other devices you can get under this price tag. It's not a bad device, but for me, it does not justify its price tag. So, my verdict for this would be, if you are thinking of buying this one, wait for OnePlus 3 instead. By the way, talking about OnePlus 3, I recently made a video on things you should expect from OnePlus 3. Watch that video, it's linked here, and you might even get a chance to win the OnePlus VR headsets. Having said that, do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Do hit the like button, do share the video with your friends. I'm Sid and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.